to a show that's going somewhere, and that specific place is space. And that's For All Mankind, season 3, dropping this past week on Apple Plus. Dave, we haven't talked about For All Mankind before. I caught up on it last year, or early into this year, I should say, like January-ish. And I know that you caught up just recently
Mm.
for the season 3 premiere. And I just kind of wanted to ask, what was your initial thoughts going into it, and what was your overall experience in catching up for the season 3 premiere?
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of this show, of course, one of the launch series for Apple TV Plus towards the end of 2019. And, I heard there was, a bit of praise, but faint praise perhaps for that first season, at least when it came out, due to its length and kind of slow getting out of the gate. But still a lot to like about it as a historical or alternate history series about the escalation of the space race. It's very appealing on its face. So I had still kind of like been keeping my eye on the show, and then when For All Mankind season 2 came out last year, the hype was immediately increased due to people saying the show was just better. Then when the finale to season 2 came out, there was this hosannas being sung about how epic it was, and I think that's all true. It's all pretty spot on. The show really, I think it's still appealing and immediately grabbed me in season 1, but then clearly took a step up with season 2, and then the finale was really gripping. And like I knew it was to expect a lot going in, but I wasn't expecting it to truly be like Red Dawn meets Apollo 13, which is basically what it is. In the
Yeah.
second half, it's pretty awesome, and I like a lot of the cast. I like how big in scope the show is, advancing in time tremendously. It's really fun to see the alternate history, butterfly effect
Mhm.
of things that happen in this world that didn't happen that way in real life, things that did still happen the same way. Really cool. And it's really fun if you know a lot about the history of NASA and the space and stuff like that. And I'm actually just really happy that we have a space series that's really hit in this manner. And I would not be surprised if Apple really pushes for Emmys this time around with season 3, because there's been a lot of space shows recently that didn't really last. You think of The First with Sean Penn and Away on Netflix, and the Right Stuff series they did on Disney Plus. None of those really got too much love. And The Expanse, which Amazon saved from sci-fi, I guess is probably the best comp to this show, but that's always kind of been like a sleeper cult hit as far as these go. But for All Mankind, it's kind of a lot of things at once. It's like the workplace drama, a science fiction show, has these big set pieces, amazing effects like for TV. It really is the whole package. So I'm really happy I got on board, and I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of season 3, because we've really got it going. We went from getting on the moon to women in space to the moon base to now we're going to fucking Mars, bro, in the 90s. Let's go.
Yeah, the end of season 2, that finale, you get to the end of it, it cuts to the credits, and it shows them like on the moon in like 91 with Nirvana playing and like looking towards Mars, and it's just like, oh, let's fucking go. I was so pumped for this season 3. I really loved both seasons, honestly, but I agree. I think the second half of season 2 is just like absolute dynamite. And the the overall concept alone is just really brilliant. Like, what if Russia beat us to space, and how that would totally like alter all these different perspectives and government policies and visions.
Hmm.
It's really like just brilliant. And I think the cast has all been really really strong. Obviously, I don't think every storyline grabs me, and I think there's some things I want to see more of, and some that I'm like, oh, we can. I've had enough of that. That's fine. But yeah, going into season 3 after that finale, in such a time jump, I was like, huh, I'm wondering what it is that made them want to jump forward this much. And obviously, I think it's the development of some sort of sustainable way to like make it to Mars and go there, because I think they're trying to be realistic about like how quickly technology would be able to develop and move.
Yeah.
But I think also putting some of these main characters into older stages of their life to then allow space for younger characters to like
Yes.
move in, because I think they're probably thinking we're not going to have Joel Kinnaman for 7 seasons of this. We're not going to have
Right.
yeah, he's going to move on and do some other stuff, so
Well,
we got to kind of build it forward. Go ahead.
that's exactly right. The thing about Joel Kinnaman's character, Ed Baldwin, is they make a point. Ed Baldwin, he was a Korean War veteran. Well, the Korean War was in the 50s, the last time I checked, and they
Yeah.
didn't tell us it happened in any other different time. So
Hmm.
Ed is like in his 60s now. Does Joel
Hmm.
Kinnaman look that? Of course not. I can get by that, no big deal. But
Yeah.
like Ed Baldwin's like getting up there to be a astronaut still, you know. So it presents though great opportunity, as you said, for Kelly and Aleda and Gordo's son, like to have
Yeah.
them kind of take the next step as the younger characters, because the show does a really good job of paying things off and building like things up, and that was so great about really honestly both season finales, both end of both seasons, is they tie threads together really well, and things come together, and it's satisfying. And now we're to the point where the show in its story has progressed 25 years from the start of season one. So now it makes plausible sense that these newer characters are in a position to take the lead of the series down the line. But it also makes logical sense in real life, you know, because like, again, like Joel Kinnaman probably is kind of playing out the string at this point on For All Mankind, as much as I love to see him. So I think the potential of the series moving forward is also very tantalizing. And I think you just have really competent people at the helm too. Obviously, Apple will spare no expense when it comes to making the show look great, but also you have Ronald Moore as one of the creators and the guy running the show here. Of course, a veteran from Star Trek, and also the basically the head of the Battlestar Galactica remake and Outlander. Like he's a very successful TV creator. So I mean, the future of the show, who knows how science fiction they truly get? You know, in a sense, it is
Yeah.
science fiction that we're going to Mars in the early to mid 90s. I think I was actually reading into it. I mean, if we were to go to Mars right now, it would still take us like nearly 2 years, let
Yeah.
alone having the technology to actually like be there, physically there and everything. So just really can't wait to see what's next, because there's a lot of other interesting ideas being thrown out there with season three. You have Edie Gaethje's character coming up as a Dev Iessa, the head of this private space company, Helios. Very obvious parallel to Elon Musk with SpaceX and Jeff Bezos with Blue Origin, and just the
Hmm.
privatization of space, something seeing right now in the collaboration between private space companies and NASA and the government. Realistic thing. Now we're going to see it dramatized on this show too. Again, sounds great.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where they go with that. I think from the first episode, I think they did a lot of ground laying while still having
Hmm.
a really, really captivating premiere. Obviously, I think the setup of Karen has this space hotel, the first of its
Yeah.
kind, is throwing this wedding or allowing Danny to throw his wedding there, and something goes wrong, and they're not these astronauts who have been so decorated and become so famous and are lauded as American heroes aren't able to stop it. It's up to Danny as the younger person who's kind of like the up and comer within NASA to save the day. And I thought that was really interesting, and some of the obviously the dynamics between Danny and Karen,
Ugh.
which was a storyline that I was like, okay, we can move on from this in season two, but like, it is what
Apparently,
it is at
it's
this
not going
point.
to go away from what
Yeah,
advanced reviews have told us, which I feel like is a major mistake, because that was by far the worst subplot of season two.
100% agree. But yeah, seems like it's gonna kind of be there. But I thought some of that stuff was like kind of interesting. I really really liked seeing Margot and
Mm,
the stuff with her, and specifically with the Russian guy. I think it was Sergey. Probably I'm
right.
gonna guess his name was Sergey. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
just like how they're
Soviets trying to
kind of
work her, man. It's like the Americans.
yeah, exactly. And then also, we didn't get to see much of this, but Ellen, running for
Oh
president
god, yeah.
in '96 against Bill Clinton is very, very interesting to me, and I'm interested to see how they kind of pull this all together. I don't know how much we're actually going to see of her like interacting with Bill Clinton. Most of the time the interactions with presidents on this have just been over the phone. They'll
Right.
show a video of the president, so I don't know what that's going to look like, but definitely interesting. And I think that's the next level for this show, right? I think obviously keeping the um, actual like space interactions, and as they're kind of we're moving towards like actual war in space. I think there's going to be a lot of action in that sense, but these older characters who do choose to stay on, I don't think we'll probably get Kinnaman past this season. I'd be surprised, but I think a couple of them have a shot to remain. Obviously, Ren Schmidt as Margot, Sonia Walger as Molly, although maybe her health effects won't allow her to. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think there's some potential to see them kind of move into these more like political spheres, and
Mhm.
like you said, it has all these different kind of thing like shows going on all at once. I think moving into a more political type drama could be an interesting direction for the show to go as well.
Yeah, totally. Because I think it does a great job early on in the past seasons of being a really good like workplace show, administrative show. I mean, in the beginning, it's very similar to like the right stuff kind of stuff. Early or early space race days. Post Mercury and Gemini and stuff. And I think the way they've handled the Ellen character has been really awesome. And seeing her move into politics as a Republican, and like
Mhm.
how that's going to go is very appealing. Apparently, we're going to see some kind of parallel to Monica Lewinsky. I'm not sure if it's exactly that or it's on her side of things. I don't really know, but I think Jodie Balfour is really awesome as Ellen, and I think she's going to really blow up because she's also going to be in Ted Lasso season 3 later this year. So I think
Yeah,
she's clearly just going to explode because she's really captivating on For All Mankind.
totally. Totally. Yeah, I mean, was there anything else from this first episode that like stood out to you that you really liked or that you're interested in for this season?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think just nothing feels out of sync like it's brand new for this show. Like, yes, we're going to see like private space tourism and private space companies, but like that all still thematically makes sense in what's come before with For All Mankind. So I'm curious to see exactly like how much of a bigger role we see for people like Kelly and Aleda and stuff because you still have Daniel Poole, you still have Ed Baldwin, you still have Karen, and I think the Karen character's kind of been tough throughout the series because she was the one with the least agency as just the wife of the astronaut. And I think they've tried to do their best. And I think that putting her right now in a spot where she's kind of at the head of private space work in some fashion. Definitely a more interesting place for her character, but I really don't want to see the subplots with Danny again, just because the show didn't seem to want to interrogate that like thematically, like
Mhm.
a Oedipus level, which it didn't actually seem to tackle what kind of relationship that really was. So therefore, I'd rather just not see it at all.
Yeah.
Uh, but then again, this show crams in a lot of different subplots with a lot of different characters. And even if not everything hits, I think that's still okay because this is still a show that really likes to build up to something, taking from all its disparate parts. So not everything works. I think it doesn't really hurt the show because it's an ongoing series.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of different things to be looking forward to. I think one in particular, like one storyline I'm interested to see develop, is what goes on with Danny's brother. He kind of has that like unhinged, pretty
Yeah,
critical look at NASA from a perspective
conspiracy
of
theorists.
some. Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's potential for him to uh, really like propel himself into a more central role in this season and provide a perspective that we don't get a ton of. I think a lot of the perspective that we're given of how the general public sees this is like this is an essential part of culture and of life within, um, this fictionalized reality. And I think having someone who's like, actually, this kind of fucking sucks and I hate it. It's like would be an interesting way because I
Yeah,
can't imagine every single person feels like space is the direction that uh, these two countries should be going. So
Yeah,
definitely
I
be
mean,
interesting.
on the other hand, this is a world that already invented nuclear fusion to a degree that climate change is going down. It's like, you know what? Doesn't sound too bad over there, even if the Soviet
No, it
Union's
doesn't.
still going strong. Well, then again, it's not all
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I know that was the part of the alternate reality, like news dump at the beginning that I was like most jealous of. I was like, God damn! Like imagine.
Imagine.
Anyways, we'll be talking about For All of Mankind as it comes. Obviously, I think a show that we both really love and are looking forward to talking more about.